everyone, I am Kriti Shastri and today I am welcoming you at Vidhya Law Summit, and today I have a very special guest with me. She happens to be a partner at Amarchand Mangaldas Delhi, and she's also the senior counsel. She had previously been a senior counsel at Amazon, and her experiences would definitely enrich you for if you are looking for a legal career. She is the person who you would be happy and glad to meet with, and someone who can guide you on this. So I welcome Ms. Swati to our podcast, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Kriti, for having me over. It's indeed a pleasure to be here on the podcast with you and the team of Vidhya.
Thank you so much. So I would like to ask you our first question, that how is life at law firm?
Well, life at law firm is great, I would say, because I know there are a lot of myths around it, but I think a law firm life really teaches you a lot how to especially be, in terms of, it teaches you, it grooms you as a lawyer, it enables you to sustain in high pressure situations, it gives you a lot of learning because it gives you a variety of work that is available. As young lawyers, you're doing research, you're doing drafting, you are briefing counsels, you are working on due diligence documents, you are looking at very critical issues for clients, where you need to provide resolution. Plus, there's a huge amount of mentoring by the senior partners, the principal associates that you work with. It teaches you how to work in a team. Teamwork is very important in our profession, and it makes you, it is more like a family. Of course, there are a lot of myths that law firm life can be very stressful, a lot of pressure, long working hours and all of that, but it brings with it a lot of perks as well. Nowadays,
So there is one question which students generally feel, that there is no work-life balance at a law firm. So can you just throw some light, how is work-life balance in a law firm if they are working?
Well, a work-life balance has become something which all of us talk about. Of course, in this generation, right, it is important, and we encourage our associates to have a healthy work-life balance. We nowadays allow them to go for sabbaticals if they want to do an LLM or any other course. We ensure that in the team there's enough rotation of work so that people are not stagnating. We ensure that we give them enough amount of leaves. Of course, when you're working on a particular matter and it is high pressure, you may have to work weekends also, but we try to give them sufficient breathing space so that they don't feel burnt out. And that's the attempt that we make all the time. Of course, nowadays we are also working very closely with, we ensure that there are psychologists or counselors to whom, associates and everybody else can speak to, because when you feel very pressurized, you like to speak to a third person who's independent of either your work or family, friends. So yes, there are counseling which we provide. So we are working very hard towards it. And work-life balance is something which, is also a set of a mindset which has started growing more in people. Look, any profession brings with it a lot of responsibility, and when there is responsibility, you are expected to perform. And at that point in time, when you have to close an assignment, working long hours is not unnatural, and also there's no substitute to hard work. So yes, of course, it's not always the same, but at times there could be long hours, and which is fine, I think. We cannot as a lawyer, you could be a 9-to-5 lawyer, you could be a lawyer who's independently practicing and only takes 4 or 5 matters. But then that comes at a little later stage. Initially, there's a lot of the learning stage is very, very important, I feel. The first 5 years of your life are really, really important.
Okay. So this has been through, but I remember you were telling me in the car that with work-life balance, firms have now these days started taking care of their people like anything. They have crèche, they have parlor, salon also. So yeah, that's a nice thing, I believe, to settle that work-life balance. and to give them perks and sabbaticals, as I believe. Yeah, that is one thing. But can you tell me in detail, like how, when someone, suppose a new associate joins a law firm, and how it goes thereafter? Like, what is the process? What happens inside a law firm?
So when the associate joins, then they go through an induction where they are sort of made to go through the various departments of the firm, how they are going to work, what is the knowledge bank they should look at, where should they, who's the HR person they should reach out to in case of any issues, who are the admin people, who are the seniors who they can reach out to, all of that, how to operate, within the law firm. Then, of course, they start working with the team, which comprises of a senior associate, principal associate, partners, and slowly they are made to ease into the environment. They'll start as an associate. When you join, our basic expectation out of you is that you're going to be diligent, you're going to show up, you're going to be you show perseverance in your work, persuasive. You'll do so. Initially, you're required to do a lot of research. You need to know the facts of the case in and out. Like, you should be the person on whom everyone's depending for the granularity. First cuts of drafts, which obviously goes through a lot of review. So slowly we ease the person into it, and usually on assignments we have an associate working with an SA or a PA. So yeah, it's pretty much like that.
Okay. Can I ask you one question, which is like, generally students would love to know that how much does a principal associate or an associate earn in a law firm?
Well, that's a tricky one. But I would tell you that law firms and the pay structures have really changed over the years, and they pay pretty handsomely. And at law firms, usually the culture is that they have a fixed salary and a bonus. So it's upon your performance. If you excel, then your bonuses could really go up. And I would only say that, pay structure is important, but it's not everything. As a lawyer, if you're willing to work, if you're willing to put in the hard work and maintain your focus, you will make money. You have to just have your focus on, if you look at any of the senior counsels and you talk to any of them, say Mr. Sibal or Mr. Datar or Mr. Subramaniam, they are not people who would as juniors ever thought about how much money I'm going to earn. They give their 100% into their matters, and if they do it till date, at their age, they still do it. And there's so much inspiration you draw from them. Today, you see that, they are who they are, and you see the money, you see everything. But as junior lawyers, you have to be very perseverance.
Right. And one more thing, like I have heard that, senior lawyers, even for a meeting, they charge you quite heftily or something like that. So is it true? I mean, is it how it goes?
Yeah, of course, senior lawyers, their time is very precious and nothing comes for free. There are no free lunches in this world. Right. So, of course, they all have their set fees, and, how much a junior counsel would charge, how much a senior counsel would charge, how much a super senior counsel would charge. And they have their fees depending on appearances or at the High Court or the Supreme Court or tribunal. So, they have their fixed fee structures which they charge, to everybody at large. So,
okay. So it has been, I remembered previously on Mr. Ram Jethmalani was there as a guest, and there was quite a learnings that I had when I was 2 days with him. And one of them was, whenever he used to write something in his book, he used to write NB. And then I happened to ask him, what is this NB, please let me, I was knowing it, but then I wanted to hear from his mouth. And he was like, it's in a Latin term and it says note bene. And why do you do this? He said, with every file that I read, I have to be very cautious, and that is why I have to mention this where I have to put special attention to it. It's like, wow, this is one thing I learned. And the second thing which I learned was quite a practical usage. I think being a very great criminal lawyer, that came into him naturally, and that was, I asked him, why do you always sit behind the driver? So he used to always sit behind the driver, and it was 3 days that I was there with him throughout. And I used to ask him, why do you want to sit behind the driver? Generally people sit on the left side of the car in India. So he told me, see, when some kind of accident or something like this happens, it is a natural instinct for the driver to save himself first. So that seat is the most safest. So what he does is he always sit behind the driver in a car. Okay. So like these, I have many experiences previously on, and I remember him telling me that, yeah, who doesn't know that he also charges. He used to charge when he was there a lot for just reading a file also.
So let me tell you, with Mr. Jethmalani, if you all know, for 13 years of his life, he did not have a successful matter. It was after 13 years of hard work, dedication and perseverance that he got his first success. And you know, also when people talk about that, oh, you have to be a topper, oh, you have to go to this college, you have to do this. It's, you know, when you're on the job, it's more about your focus, about how you handle the situations. So while I understand for this generation, you know, it looks like a very glamorous job, you know, as lawyer. When you look at a lawyer from the outside world, it looks like, oh wow, it's so glamorous. Of course it is glamorous, but as I said, there are no free lunches in this world. To get that glamour, you need to really, really put in that effort.
Is it like those series that those students watch? Is it that glamorous or little less glamorous?
Well, you know, I should say that I wouldn't say it is like those series, but it's all in the mind. Your life becomes glamorous because in law firms, when you work hard, you also party hard.
Also, there's a thing which I've seen, that once you win a case or a matter or your client is relieved, there's a lot of, you know, that is the satisfaction that you get, which generally you don't get. Like, I think for work, you need to get that satisfaction, and when your client gets a relief or there's a major success that is happening, definitely.
Yes, that's the victory for us, right? Because we are, I would say, you know, I always equate the legal profession as that of a doctor. You know, we provide relief to human beings. At the end of the day, we are dealing with human lives, because they are amidst can be amidst very complex problems which we resolve. So yes, when you give relief to your client, it's like you're sending back a perfect patient back home. So yes, of course, we feel very, very happy, and of course that calls for a lot of celebrations, and we ensure that, you know, in those moments we really recognize our associates, our people who work tirelessly on those matters. So yes, so that is very important. You have to recognize talent. You know, one thing which we forget is we don't recognize, we don't mention about juniors, which, you know, that is the motivation. You have to motivate them. If you keep them motivated, they will always be happy to work with you.